grab your blankets. We're not going to stay here very long, but we'll still need the blankets for Shavasana anyway. You can pause your music. Take one blanket and roll it up, putting it behind your knees so there's a nice soft bend. And then the second blanket rolls up and it goes between your belly and your thighs so that if you were to pitch forward a little bit, there would be some support. And then the final blanket goes on top of that, and you're actually going to bring your elbows to that. Oh, those are not going to work. Oh, you can use those cushions if you want. You can also use pillows or like anything big. The elbows are going to come onto the blanket, and then the head is going to rest on, or the forehead's going to rest on the palms. It's just a really gentle forward fold, and you don't really want to feel too much of a stretch, right? Check in and make sure the head's not dropping like this. That's going to put strain in between the shoulders, so just a nice even curve. If you feel it in one part of the spine or back muscles, it means you're probably a little too far into it. It's almost like you're just sitting up and having a bad day, like, oh. But we're not. We're having a great day. What if we could practice being in this position and being really happy? It might help rewire some pathways. And just take a couple of breaths. We had a lot of movement in class, so I wanted there to be a nice segue before Shavasana where you could be centered and conscious and upright, but soft and inwardly focused. Use the breath to stay conscious, but also to massage through the neck, through the shoulders, through the muscles alongside the spine, maybe even the hamstrings. Just letting that pulsation of the breath help you move your consciousness throughout the body. And see if you can find a little more softness with each breath. And for the last moment, I invite you to explore rolling up out of it just an inch so you can feel the back line of the body engage, all the muscles that are lengthened, activate, and then as a whole, from soles of feet all the way to the crown of the head, let that space lengthen, let the whole body melt, and just see where the pose evolves. It can look exactly the same, but feel more spacious, feel softer. And then push down into the heels, push down into the sits bones. Let one vertebra at a time stack, slowly coming back to Dandasana, where the spine is neutral. Can keep the blanket behind the backs of the knees, and then use your other blankets to set up for Shavasana. If you have a favorite way, you can just get right into Shavasana. I will invite some options if you want to try them. I do enjoy having a little support under my head and rolling the blanket can actually, almost like a neck pillow that you'd wear on an airplane, it can provide some support at the base of the skull. And then the other blanket can be nice for warmth, so you can relax more deeply. It can be a little weight on the belly to help you feel calm and safe. It can also open up a little wider and support the forearms so that there's like a nice gentle bend in the forearms. So take your time. There's no need to rush, but find your way into something sweet and supportive where the body can let go. It no longer has to do any work to support you. And notice how, as the body lets go, the breath may become freer. And it is okay to fall asleep. It means you need sleep. But if possible, staying tuned into the breath and staying conscious is really beneficial. So I invite you to let go of the body, let go of the thoughts, and just be in that subtler space of the breath and the inner flow. And just imagine that you have a larger capacity and more space for all of the energy of your life to flow. You don't need to cancel your yoga class. You can, that's okay, sometimes that's good. But really you can get bigger and more spacious by relaxing and opening. So we'll rest in this conscious, spacious awareness for the next several minutes. Let yourself just be as you are, unmoving. Notice if that's easy or if that's hard, without any judgment, just observe. And then start observing your natural breath flow. And notice at the end of class, it's easier to observe it without changing it. And without changing the breath, imagine taking a deeper breath by being more receptive to the natural breath flow, by feeling it more, by craving it more, by drinking it into the deepest part of you, but letting the breath stay natural. And notice if in this moment you feel capable and equipped of handling what life presents you. If you have that even balance inside. And imagine leaving behind a contracted form of yourself and eventually making your way up to seated in your most expansive form, something larger than the confines of your physical body, as if you were just energy floating up to a seated shape. And when you eventually make your way up to seated, get comfortable. And I'll show you how I'm sitting, because this has been a recent game changer for my hips. I've just been stacking one blanket. If you like to sit high, you might stack two. And then I take the final blanket and I'm folding it an additional time. And it creates just this little wedge that can move with my pelvis. And that has been really enjoyable and comfortable on my hips. So feel free to try that as long as you have all these blankets around. And once you've found a comfortable way to sit, let the physical body soften. You can close the eyes or find a single gaze point. Observe your breath just like you did in Shavasana, without changing it. And notice if you can more fully receive your breath. It's like there's more energetic space inside of you to absorb. You don't have to breathe deeper. You can just let the natural breath flow soak in. And this should feel really sweet and natural and gentle, no exertion. And when you open up to the breath in this deeper way inside, there starts to be more of a sense of the prana that is linked to the breath. And so you might feel that deeper sense of energetic nourishment coming in, as well as the oxygen. And we'll attach the mantra Om Namah Shivaya to each in-breath and each out-breath. Letting the vibration of the mantra nourish us just like the oxygen, just like the prana. You can, if you're a visual person, you can imagine the mantra as like a bright, glowing light. And as you repeat it, your body starts to store and accumulate this light, one mantra at a time. I prepare to ring the tingshes, the chime begins at a single point and then radiates subtly more and more expansively. And so I invite you to use the sound of the tingshes to feel the heart center and then to feel yourself becoming more and more spacious. Thank you so much for being here and practicing. Such a joy to be with you, and my hope for myself through this practice, and of course for all of you, is that I can be more joyful as I go through that feeling of overwhelm and so much pressure, because I know each of you is going to get through it. And so I hope we can do it with more joy in our hearts and more spaciousness.